Hello everyone, welcome to Midweek Gaming. Big news came out of the industry, like big flipping news. EA just got bought out, which I never thought would happen, honestly. I was assuming bankruptcy would come first, but here we are.
They've
So I'm
bought
just gonna
out.
get, yeah, usually we don't do streams once every, week, but this is a big
Well, we
news, like
haven't done a
blowing
stream
up.
in forever, so
Yeah, we haven't done a stream in forever, like 4 whole days. So, um, usually we do a stream like once a week, but
we
like I
don't do
said,
a
this is
stream.
big news, so.
We haven't
Well,
done streams in forever.
you're being petty about this. We do a
I'm not.
video
We do a
every
video.
week.
There's a
This
difference.
guy is
There
being
is a
like, well, technically we
difference.
did do it with streams. We do videos, anyways. Moving on.
Yes.
So yeah, we generally don't do this stuff. We only do like content once a week. But like I said, this is big news, so we're doing an emergency stream video thing. There will still be a video, even though this is a stream. So yay if you're here. If not, watch the video, and also yay still, because you're watching the content. That's all I care about. So yeah, big news. Cut straight into the dark meat. EA got bought out. Like I said, I didn't ever see this happening. I thought bankruptcy would come first, honestly. Not because they were particularly broke, mind you, but just because that was what I was hoping would happen first. But yeah, so EA got bought out specifically by a conglomerate, and specifically a conglomerate of Silver Lake Partners, which is a Saudi Arabia sovereign investment fund, or so Silver Lake Partners, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund (PEI), and Affinity Partners. So 3 groups, not two. And Affinity Partners, if you may or may not know, is the company founded by Monsieur Donald Trump's son, Jared Kushner. So, well,
There's
son-in-law.
that.
Yeah. So there's that. Yay. I don't know. Trump now has a hand in the gaming space, and I can feel my soul dying as I say that. Granted, it's only EA, but then again, they do have Mass Effect, so. But anyways, so yeah, that's gonna happen now. It'll be taken private as a result of this deal. It is a massive deal too. It is like the second biggest in the gaming industry's history, a 55 billion deal overall. I think it's like 52.5 specifically, but like all the things added in, all that works out to like 55 billion deal. So again, second biggest deal in history. The first still being held by Microsoft's buying of Activision Blizzard a few years back, so they still hold the title on that one. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. The transaction is expected to close, so like it's not official fully yet. This has just been signed, but the whole thing is expected to be signed, sealed, and fully transitioned over by the end of EA's 36th. By the end of EA's 2020, like mid 2027 fiscal year. So let me just see. There's a specific number I want to give you guys. Forgive me, my eyes are bleeding because this is a bleach white page I'm reading now, and this is a dark room, so my eyes might
It's
glaze
dark.
over slightly
It's
trying to
very
find it.
dark.
Let me just see here. Oh, while we're waiting, I will also mention that um, Andrew Wilson is remaining CEO. So as far as we know, there's not going to be any real change up in leadership as far as things are concerned. Andrew Wilson, who's been in the CEO for forever and a day, I think he's been CEO for as long as I can remember, is still going to be there, so don't expect any new CEOs or executives to come in, as far as I'm aware, at least in the C-suite level. So,
Disappointment.
so yeah, so that's a thing. But anyways, the deal is expected to close, so sign, seal, and deliver itself by the first fiscal quarter of 2027. So that's like what 2020, like end of 2026 into like 2027. So let's say like January of 2027 is when this will all get itself officially done. So for the moment, they're technically still, public. But again, that is going to change come January 2027. So we won't see any changes, at least possible changes, yet. That'll be for a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a rather interesting, like I said, thing because I didn't ever see this coming. The one possible thing that might change, and this is also in one of the articles brought to you by searching by The Logic, one possible thing that may come as a result of I have to change this. I'm in a dark room, like I said, so I'm getting blasted by light. My eyes! But anyways, enough complaining. One thing that might change as a result of this, is this one also? It is also. Darn. forgive me for saying this, guys. Like I said, I tried my best to find articles that were free for us to read. Unfortunately, everyone I dug up seems to be bloody subscription-based, including the one I had for you guys that supposed to be free, but turns out it isn't. Whatever.
It's a little difficult sometimes.
It's a little difficult. Everyone's subscription-based. But anyways, that's not what you're here to hear. The one possible bit of contention that might come as a result of this deal is specifically due to LGBTQ and all of that. The reason I point that out is because Saudi Arabia has a bit of a thing against same-sex stuff just in general. And say what you about EA's business practices, but when it comes to overall, what's the word I'm looking for here? Representation, that's the word, in gaming, when it comes to things like LGBTQ+, that has always been a thing. Mass Effect allows you to marry characters of the same sex, so, that's a thing. So, maybe that might be a sticking point. Like I said, one of the major investors is the Saudi Arabian royalty, effectively. So, we'll see. That said, it is interesting, like I said, because this deal is a rather interesting one, considering I think they own like 10% now. So, yeah. In the official EA buyout, let me just read you a line from this. In the official EA buyout announcement, they state, quote, under the terms of the agreement, the consortium will acquire 100% of EA, which means that the three investment groups you mentioned before, I will not look up their name again. I've already forgotten. Shows you how important I think they are in the grand scheme. The three investment groups will be new heads of EA and the owners of massive properties like Madden, EA 2026, and the rest of EA's catalog. So all of this is basically going to go under the consortium of these three. So, like I said, that'll be PIF, Affinity Partners, and Silver Lake. Interestingly enough, PIF actually already holds 10% stake in EA. With this value will roll over if the deal is completed. It is interesting. It also notably invested money in Jared Kushner's Affinity Partners as well, so interesting that the PIF is both invested in the company they're acquiring as well as Affinity, so maybe that'll affect decision making. Maybe PIF will hold all the power. I don't know. That's just me spitballing there, so don't quote me on that one. Though that said, PIF has invested in other groups as well, including games such as Nintendo and Capcom, and this agreement comes as a pivotal moment for EA, considering this is just days before the launch to Battlefield 6 on October 10th.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to be like, here's Battlefield 6. Also, we're going private.
Yeah, also, by the way.
Oh, yeah, also, by the way. Which, in fairness, for gamers might make no real difference, but for investors, this is interesting because, like I said, Battlefield 6 would mean that there's a lot of money presumably coming into the studio, but then you're like, okay, I'll invest right now when the stocks will probably go up because all the money from Battlefield 6 will come in. And then you get told they're going private, so your stock's officially worthless. So, What is interesting, like I said, is that Dragon Age and Mass Effect are also in that catalog. So it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, the articles constantly point out the fact that in Saudi Arabia, illegal LGBTQ culture is just illegal under Sharia law, according to Dignity and Trust.
Yes.
So, again, it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Laws are different there.
Oh, they're very different there. The reason I keep pointing this out is because Mass Effect 4 possibly is getting hinted, maybe at some point in the future. I've heard whispers that was in the works, and like I said, that has always had a deep character system, so it'll be interesting to see if that gets affected, maybe. The Dragon Age stuff, especially after Dragon Age Veilguard, is probably going to get put on ice for a while. Veilguard wasn't bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I played Veilguard, and at least in terms of, like, stuff, it wasn't terrible. Do I think it's on par with previous Dragon Age games? Not really. Which is funny for me to say that, because Dragon Age Inquisition, I remember when it first came out, people were like, it's not that great of a game. And now we're sitting here with Veilguard in our heads being like, this is nothing as good as Dragon Age Inquisition. Which is, like I said, funny because we were all dunking on Inquisition when it first came out. So who knows? Maybe Veilguard will get a renaissance. Probably not, but you never know. Anything is possible. So, like I
And
said, Dragon Age probably get put on ice, but I wonder how this will affect Mass Effect and its development when it comes to that whole dialogue system. Eh. And in terms of the overall gaming space in general, like I said, this is kind of interesting because I mentioned to Justin. Can you guys hear my clock in the background?
no,
Is this
you're
getting
fine.
picked up on
You're
stream?
fine.
Okay, good. Every time the thing goes off, it's extremely loud on my end, so I'm always like, oh god, is it getting picked up on stream? But anyways, in terms of the overall gaming space, I was actually telling Justin earlier just before the stream, it's weird to see this because, again, say what you will about EA and its scummy business practices, but the fact of the matter is they are one of the big juggernauts that were public in the gaming space, alongside things like Ubisoft, which, funny I bring up Ubisoft because there's a massive push for investors to actually turn them private because Ubisoft's business practices are controversial among its investors, to say the least, at the moment. And like I said, previously Activision Blizzard also sat as a massive independent developer, so it's interesting to see all of these massive names just basically get bought up under consortiums and stuff like that, or get folded into bigger companies like Microsoft and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see this general push towards just privatization in the industry. I'm not entirely sure at this moment if that's a good thing or not, honestly.
Hard to tell.
Because, yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes, honestly. Because, like I said, it's on one hand, you know, I believe the EA was the company that went on record saying that their investors are their audience, not their not the players. I really need to see if I can dig that up. I don't think I'll be able to because it was so many years ago when they said that, but I still remember to this day. I believe they're the ones who said it. It was Activision Blizzard. I want to say it was EA, though. It does feel like something they would say. So it's, like I said, going to be interesting to see how their business practices are going to be shaped by the fact that they now are just privately owned by these three companies. Companies that are... they stink of greed, if you ask me. Saudi Arabia has always kind of followed wherever the money is in terms of its investment portfolio. I mean, they are, from what I remember reading in the Verge, or not the Verge, in the Logic article, which I think we'll just keep up on the list in case you ever want to actually read that article. Maybe you have an account and whatnot. They actually state that Saudi has actually been trying to diversify its portfolio recently beyond the oil industry, and they've been trying to get into gaming. Like we said, we mentioned that they have like 10% stake already in EA before they bought them, and they got their hands at like Nintendo and Take-Two and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see them trying to get into the games industry. Them now having full control over EA, maybe we'll see how that plays out for better or worse. It's just interesting, like I said, that a bunch of companies that just scream of extreme greed bought the company that is known for extreme greed. Like equals like, I guess. All I can say there. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. EA got bought out, and this is definitely going to shape the gaming space, like I said. How it will shake up in the years to come, I don't know, but it is definitely going to be one of those big things, because now Activision Blizzard and EA have both been bought up and folded into bigger companies, so I guess the moral here is that no one is safe. Will this create more opportunities for indies, or maybe this will cause greater terror in indies because they're going to be at risk of getting bought out? I don't know. Like I said, it's going to be more that the power in the gaming industry feels more centralized. But then again, none of these companies beyond, like I said, PIE? PIA, I think it is. Anyways, the Saudi firm. Beyond the Saudi firm, none of the other companies have any real stake in the gaming industry as far as I can tell at the moment. So, maybe not? But yeah, we'll see. Anyways, it's interesting to say the least. Before we close it out, let me just throw it over to Justin because he's been pretty quiet. What do you think about this, Justin?
This is going to be really, really interesting because at the end of the day, EA has always been a company that has been... Yes. So...
He goes again, giving binary answers to greater questions.
So it's really going to be what are we even going to expect? Because them going private could full well mean things getting worse for us, or maybe better. We do not know.
No, my money's on worse, if not neutral. Because that's the thing. I don't foresee any argument where this makes things better.
Mhm.
Because here's the thing, right? What's his name? 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 Anyway, that's right. Andrew Wilson is still CEO. The head decision maker is still there, and as far as I can tell, it's not going to result in any big shakeup in the company's leadership beyond them now being owned by someone else. And the companies that now own them don't exactly scream moral, let's just say. Like I said, Jared Kushner's now on the board, so what does that tell you? I don't know. Put that alongside and just, I don't know. None of this seems like particularly moral individuals. Then again, I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong. Maybe the Saudis, Kushner, and Silver Lake are extremely moral, and this will all increase. Maybe this will result in EA in a new golden age. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Honestly, I hope I am. But being a betting man, if I had to put a bet down, I would say at best nothing changes. At worst, more likely, things will get worse. How is just, I don't know yet. It's a wait and see kind of moment. That's just my take. I apologize, I kind of stole that from you, Justin, didn't I?
No, you're good. I mean, that's kind of how I see it too.
So yeah, we'll see where this goes. Like I said, big news. Thought we would get it out there. It's blowing up all over the internet.
Yeah.
Hopefully the links I provide you guys will, by and large, will not be substantial, but like be readable for you guys without an account. Like I said, I thought the Logic one actually was a free site, but now that I'm pulling it up on my computer here, it's actually a kind of like buy another subscription-based one. CBC I'm giving you guys is free. CGM is, as far as I can tell. Yeah. So if there's one there that you guys can't read, I think it's just going to be the Logic one, which I will leave in there intentionally. My mistake, guys. Like I said, it's becoming hard to find articles these days where you don't have to have a subscription, honestly. I tried to do Forbes originally, but... Anyways, that's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, big news coming out of the industry this week. We're like right out of Tokyo Game Show, and now we're hearing EA got bought out, which I never, like I said, thought would even happen. So, who knows? Maybe next week we'll hear Ubisoft went bankrupt. I don't know. At this point, anything's possible, and I'm not so much in for it. I'm just like, I don't know. I'm gonna be waiting to see what happens. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Have a good week. Like, comment. You know how it is. And we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a good one.